Short story notes 2, plot. All right. Once we've determined the protagonist and main conflict in the story, we can begin to track the significant events of the plot. This is a plot diagram I was showing right here with exposition, conflict, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Some people divide a story into a beginning, a middle, and an end. It has to have these things basically in order to be a story. Otherwise, it's just information. It's not a story. A story needs to have some kind of experience involved in it. All right. So that's what we're talking about. Let's take a look at what all of these things mean. Principal episode, rising action, climax, falling action, denouement. There is an English word which means resolution. Okay, let's go to the next one. What is principal episode? This is the first significant event that introduces the conflict of the story. Now, rising action are events. So this would be more than one event. In fact, in most stories, most of what happens fits into this category of rising action. So these events further intensify the conflict. Okay, now how about the climax? This is the point of highest tension when the protagonist is just about to either win or lose. Now I put on here either wins or loses, but it really is just a little bit before that. They're just about to either win or lose. Okay, falling action. Consequent events that follow the climax. So you had the climax, that moment where they're either going to win or lose. And then they either win or they either lose. And then things start to go downhill for the main character, or they are good for the main character if they say won. Some short stories do not have a lot of a falling action. They might have none at all. It's possible. So the events after the climax, except for one very important event, which we call the denouement. Like the principal episode, which is only one event, and the climax, which should be only one event, then the denouement is usually just one event as well, or maybe kind of a summation. It's the final resolution of the conflict. So what happens to the protagonist? Does he or she live happily ever after, or does something really bad happen to him or her? There are 4 possible endings of a short story. Happy, by which we mean the main character either wins or loses, or they're just successful in some way. Sad, the main character loses. They're not successful. Indeterminate, maybe the story ends abruptly before we know whether the main character wins or loses. And finally, surprise. Now, it could be a happy surprise, or it could be a sad surprise. Many different ways to have a surprise ending.